Aloha and Yokwe. Welcome to Outside Hawaii. I'm your host, Jen Boniza. On today's show, we travel to the atoll of Majuro in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. We'll learn a little bit about the Marshallese culture, their handicrafts, food, and the ocean that surrounds them. On the first part of the show, we'll attempt to tell you about the 4,000-year history of the Marshallese people. Of course, this isn't possible to do in 3 and 4 minutes. So what we've decided to do is have some of the native Marshallese and a couple of expats share their knowledge and insights with us. Our main reason for going to Majuro was to cover a gathering of Pacific weavers, artisans, and craftspeople from across the Pacific region. The University of the South Pacific hosted this event where handicrafts were displayed, techniques shared, and cultural exchanges took place. Many thanks to the director of the University of the South Pacific Marshall Islands for hosting us. Also part of our show today is a short segment on the native foods of the Marshall Islands, an example of some of the travelers that visit, and some brief underwater moments in Majuro Lagoon. Please stay with us after the break. We'll visit the atoll of Majuro, the capital of the Republic of the Marshall Islands.
Jen Boniza's wardrobe is provided by Missing Polynesia.
Please keep your distance and respect our marine wildlife.
Mokulele Airlines is Hawaii's favorite airline and most dependable island hopper. Climb aboard. Your adventure begins with Mokulele Airlines. Win free tickets on Mokulele. Text Mokulele to HNN 808 to enter. Mokulele Airlines, the favorite choice to island hop.
You wouldn't want someone to do this to your home.
Hey, don't you know how to knock?
Why are we doing it to theirs? Give the reef a break. You can make a huge difference.
How about a fish sandwich?
Did you know that Pacific Islanders have the highest killed and wounded in action stats per capita in USA's military forces? For many Marshallese, serving in the military is not only a chance at a better life, it's also become an opportunity to counter the rhetoric of a vocal minority.
The atolls of the Republic of the Marshall Islands are spread out over an ocean area that exceeds 700,000 square miles, roughly the size of Texas. With a total landmass of about the size of Molokai, these atolls are really just tiny slivers of land surrounded by a vast ocean. The Marshallese people have been here for over 4,000 years. They were able to develop a society that understood their land and ocean resources. Like the first people of Hawaii, they really had no choice. Unless you've experienced life on atolls, it's hard to describe what it's like. Think of living on Oahu's Sand Island, your highest natural land elevation, maybe 20 feet. Lots of coconut trees, no streams or rivers, humid, hot, and surrounded by the ocean. Life here has always been hard, but people want to stay for at least another 4,000 years. Today there are new challenges and many are forced to leave.
A lot of education and awareness has to take place on both sides. It's not just the host, but also us. I think we also have to bear the responsibility as well.
Before, when we came to Hawaii, there wasn't any discrimination at all. It's only now. And I think this happened everywhere. It's happened everywhere, especially now that if we get crowded in one place and the resources is not enough to cover everybody. So this is what becomes of all this discrimination.
Tucked neatly away a few blocks from the Marshall Islands Resort and off of Amatakabua Boulevard lies the University of the South Pacific Marshall Islands campus. Their director, Dr. Irene Tafaki, talks story with us about the work of an archaeologist hired by the Historic Preservation Office.
She felt that their mythology was comparable to the Greeks. They had life completely worked out, and death, and a profound understanding of what makes people sick and what can make them better. So that, I think, is something that's really admirable.
The vast majority of Marshallese that leave here wish they could come back. They simply never wanted to leave. Ione de Broom has dedicated her life to restoring and improving the economy and standard of living on neighboring atolls where there's been a steady migration of young people to urban areas in Majuro, Hawaii, and the mainland USA.
This is really my purpose in going back and to be in where I am now, is to promote the outer islands so that the people can have the interest in coming back, because I know why they moved. They're seeking education, better life, which they cannot find here, better health care. And if they will have these, I'm sure they will come back.
The world's oldest ecosystem is here. It provides, protects, and supports thousands of living creatures and shoreline communities around the world. It's our source of food, good surf, and sandy beaches. And now, it needs us.
Today's actions may be tomorrow's regrets. It is everyone's kuleana to preserve our coral reefs for work, for play, and for life. Let's give the reef a break.
I dwell in the realm of Kanaloa. This has been my native home for millions of years, but now my future is in jeopardy. Our kupuna ku'ulakai taught us the skills to be good fishermen, the value of a kapu system, and most importantly, to share. We are one. What happens to me happens to all of us. He Hawaii ka ko. We are Hawaii.
Denture wearers, do you have problems chewing your food, sore spots, or feel uncomfortable in business or social situations? Dr. Michael Nishime is a board-certified implant dentist who has over 20 years of experience. Have your entire dental implant treatment completed by Dr. Nishime in a world-class facility offering many solutions to your problems, such as implant-supported over dentures, fixed implant-supported bridges, single-tooth implants, and a smile makeover. Call today for a complimentary exam and x-rays. Much of the knowledge and culture of our indigenous Pacific people has been lost. This is why the gathering of weavers on Majuro is relevant and important.
Some master weavers perform their craft as if they know the last grains of sand in their personal hourglass is running out. When you really love doing something, there never seems to be enough time or opportunities. At this gathering of the Pacific Weavers in Majuro, masters came together to share knowledge with each other and to promote this important cultural practice. The University of the South Pacific Marshall Islands campus facilitated this year's event in Majuro. Like all other Pacific First peoples, these master weavers are really products of a society that required a broad understanding of their environments.
I recognize that there was a genius in the understanding of Marshallese people about their environment and also their understanding of life and death and how that was conveyed to others. So, you know, if you just look at someone from the outside, you're always going to make a snap judgment about them. But when you come to appreciate their culture, then you can see them in a very different light.
As we begin to indigenize our education, weaving is an important part of that because it's part of the culture. It's who we are.
Some craftspeople, including weavers, are unwavering when it comes to describing who they are and what they do. Most do not see themselves as artists, even though much of their work is seen as art by others.
So it has a strong cultural significance, but also weaving as a cultural art is actually one of the economic backbones, particularly of the outer islands, that women have traditionally woven mats and handicrafts in order to pay for their children's school fees, for instance.
I mean, there are other handicrafts here that the Marshalls is known for. In particular, one of them is known as the killie bag. This is a beautifully fine woven purse that was made famous by Bikini Islanders who were evacuated from Bikini back in the 1940s. And when the women families needed money, so the women started making these. Well, they became famous in part because Jacqueline Kennedy, then the First Lady, had one, and there's been a tradition of the Bikinians giving killie bags to every American First Lady over the years. But if you look in high-end stores in the U.S. and in Hawaii, you will see killie bags sold for quite a significant amount of money. There is definitely an economic aspect to this important cultural tradition here.
You might say these woven creations will become the artifacts of individual societies. They will represent to future generations how some people understood and appreciated their surroundings and how well they were able to preserve their culture.
For weaving, as it is found all around the world, but definitely very strongly practiced in the Pacific, it's a way to maintain culture, it's a way to perpetuate culture and the sharing of knowledge from different places. The patterns are unique to different regions across the Pacific, so they're very distinctive in design and technique, but they're all founded in the same basic practice of plaiting. And all of the variations come from that one basic foundation. So it's again, it's so wonderful to see the diversity of all of these different techniques found throughout the Pacific, but also the similarities, those things that bring us closer together.
Gather food, gather knowledge, gather here. Makeke Kapolei, a farmers and green market, supports local agriculture by providing access to the area's freshest local produce, meats, and dairy, and making healthy eating affordable by accepting EBT. Makeke also provides locally made green products, culturally tailored demonstrations, and activities for the kids. Join us at Makeke Kapolei every Thursday, 3 to 6:30 p.m. Kapolei High School.
Mokulele Airlines is Hawaii's favorite airline and most dependable island hopper. Climb aboard. Your adventure begins with Mokulele Airlines. Win free tickets on Mokulele. Text Mokulele to HNN 808 to enter. Mokulele Airlines, the favorite choice to island hop.
Oh my gosh, look at the Hey, look over here. Hey, over here. Woo! Oh, it's looking. Take a picture.
Go closer, go closer.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Woo! We're gonna get another one. Who's gonna post it on Instagram? I want to go ride it.
If you don't like it, what makes you think they do? Please keep your distance and respect our marine wildlife.
It's a monsoon! Woo!
Please keep your distance and respect our marine wildlife.
Welcome back. We thought we'd add a segment on living life on a remote Pacific atoll, a short piece on traditional food, an example of why people visit, and a quick underwater dip into Majuro Lagoon.
The three-banded Amphiprion trasinctus is endemic to the Marshall Islands. If ocean temperatures keep rising, this unique fish could be one of many species to disappear. Hiroaki Ueda of Ray Crew Dive Company operates Majuro's premier scuba diving outfit from the Marshall Islands Resort Hotel. These waters offer some of the best uncrowded dive sites in the Pacific. It's been a little over 70 years since the last shots were fired in World War II. Some of the fiercest battles in the Pacific theater were fought in the Marshall Islands.
The Marshall Islands played a significant role during World War II in that the Japanese military used the Marshall Islands essentially as its easternmost perimeter in the Western Pacific, and there were military bases established on about half a dozen atolls here in the Marshalls. So many thousands of Japanese died, along with American soldiers who died here. And so it's, for many years, we've seen Japanese relatives of the soldiers who've gotten down here coming to pay homage, to pay respects, some coming to actually find bones and take them back for burial and services back home in Japan. So there's been I would say over the many years that I've been here, there's been a fairly regular stream of Japanese visitors coming to Kwajalein and Majuro, and then going off to various outer islands such as Jalowit, Mili, Wotje, Maloalap, these various islands that had military bases and so hold quite a bit of meaning for Japanese relatives of those who died.
The Marshall Islands Resort has always been our home away from home. It has become an icon and has set the standard for visitor accommodations for nearly 20 years. Hirobo Obekatang is the general manager. Hirobo has spent nearly all of his adult life paying his dues and learning the ropes of this complex industry. The resort's Enra restaurant is the best in the country. Traditional Marshallese food can be experienced here. On land, the Marshallese people have depended on edible plants like the huge fruit of a unique pandanus tree, which we know in Hawaii as hala. Unfortunately, we don't have this species. Coconuts and dozens of varieties of breadfruit are essential everyday items in the Marshallese cuisine. This hotel was part of the Outrigger Resort's expansion plans into the Pacific. The property was managed by Outrigger, and even though they've parted ways, much of their influence and style has remained. Anyone who has worked in Hawaii's visitor industry and spent time in hotel restaurants will recognize this kitchen. In many ways, it resembles the work areas of Hawaiian eateries. Diego Maglatang is the executive chef. On this day, he's assigned a 19-year-old aspiring top chef, Brandon Hawley, the task of appearing before our camera for an impromptu traditional food segment. A life resident of the Marshalls, Brandon represents young adults here that want to gain experience from other cultures and countries and then return to support their families and nation. Using coconuts, lagoon caught fish, and breadfruit, Chef Pince will prepare local grouper, and Chef Jico will make breadfruit chips and Marshallese-style poke.
Okay, today we're going to show you guys how to cook traditional Marshallese food. Chef Jico will start off with cutting the breadfruit for the chips, and Chef Pince will cook the main course, which is a fish dish. We'll start off by sauteing some ginger, little bit ginger, little bit celery, and then Chef Jico will start frying the chips. And we add coconut milk. Little bit salt and pepper to taste. And here's the fish. Put that inside, steam in the coconut milk. So right now, Chef Chico's gonna dice up the fresh yellowfin tuna for a tuna dip. That will go along with the mat chips, breadfruit chips. So this tuna here is wild caught here in Majuro. And you're just gonna add some lime, little bit salt, pepper, onion, and coconut milk. Just gonna mix it up a little bit. And this is our Marshallese poke style.
Fishing in the Marshall Islands is off the charts. Kava kava in the lagoon, ahi on the outside. Bring choke lures if you plan to whip the reefs and drop-offs. Endless omilu and good dogtooth tuna action. Brandon's father John also told me about the great Onaga bottom fishing here.
No wonder there's no fish. Their homes are all messed up.
Yep. More junk on the reef means less habitat for fish. Please get rid of your trash properly. Help save our reefs and the fish that live there.
Wait, isn't that?
Yeah? Let's go take a picture, hurry. If you don't like it, what makes you think they do? Please keep your distance and respect our marine wildlife.
The Marshall Islands Resort is the premier hotel in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. It's the gathering place for visitors, locals, and expats. Scuba dive Majuro Lagoon, dine in Enra Restaurant, and explore these beautiful islands from the Marshall Islands Resort.
I can't think of any immigrant group or First People that did not weave or utilize some type of natural fiber for clothing or everyday use. Can you?
The University of the South Pacific, two visionary traditional leaders, and Dr. Irene Tafaki led a restoration effort to revive the weaving of Jaki Ed, the traditional attire of the Marshall Islands. One highlight of the 2015 Gathering of Pacific Weavers was the 9th annual Jaki Ed auction. All of the proceeds from this event, including some big donations, go to aspiring Jaki Ed master weavers.
Weaving is such an important part of our culture, and we tend to think of it as only, women weaving to make things to sell. But there is so much more to weaving than just making products and selling the product. There is, of course, the artistic nature of it, and being part of the culture, the design, and the knowledge that comes with selecting the right strands or the trees where you can. The whole process of creating a product. There is so much to it than just making and selling things. Nowadays, women weavers are mostly in the other islands. They're beginning to come to Majuro, but we haven't bring the weaving into our formal education. Right now it's an informal. It's in the informal sector. So girls learn to weave through their association with their mothers, or perhaps by attending a training here and there. But learning to weave and hasn't been a part of our formal education, and I think that's the next step we need to take.
The Bishop Museum and other institutions have aided in the restoration of traditional weaving by providing access to Marshallese woven garments that were collected over a century ago and then appropriated by museums and collectors. At the start of this revival, there were only a few people left that had seen or woven traditional garments. So, professionally preserved examples were critical to this project. The Marshallese continue to recognize their traditional leaders. We are not that far removed from this in Hawaii. It's really not this simple, but there are traditional leaders here that carry on similar status to Hawaiian kings and queens.
My experience with USP again starts off with the relationship we built at the Bishop Museum and the relearning and the reintroduction of the Jakied to the people of the Marshalls. So from that perspective, the initiative of USB to create a program to bring that practice back to life is very inspiring. It's very forward-thinking, the idea of going to collections around the world and bringing that information back to the people of the Marshalls and then disseminating it in a college setting, a university setting to teach the next generation and to share with them the culture and the treasures of their past and inspire them to look to those examples as a means to make them retain that integrity and strive for that excellence that they definitely have in their culture and to maintain that practice. So for my experience with USB, that's an amazing act for a university to go out and try and revive a traditional practice. It's a very inspiring thing for me.
It's now been 9 years, and Marshallese weavers are creating their own designs. Today, these pieces will not be used as clothing. More likely, they will become treasured works of art and symbols of Marshallese culture to the collectors that bid and then paid for them. On our next show, we'll have another look at the traditional and now contemporary weaving of Jakied.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your kokua and attention. Kamol Tata, mahalo nui to Irene Tafa'aki, Maria Fowler, Mary Lou Foley, and the Marshall Islands Resort. Please join us again. Aloha, ahui ho, malama Hawaii.